This week on None of Your Beeswax. Here's the thing about being absolutely terrified, right? Obviously at the time it's the worst thing ever, but later on in life, if you know what it's like to be absolutely terrified, it's not good to be in that state, but if you've been in that state and you're not in it anymore, you're wiser for it. Because you understand fear. And you understand what it can do to you. And you can understand how it controls you. And then you understand how to control other people with it. There's two ways to control people. There's two things you need to know about me. No, there's two ways to control people. One way is to find out what they like, what they want. So it's like, if you dangle a carrot on the end of a string, what if it turns out they don't like carrots? It's like, well, find what they do like and dangle that. That's how you control them. Another way to control them is to scare them. You can't tempt them. You don't know what they want, so you can't tempt them with anything. But you can give them a consequence if they don't do what you want. You go, if you do this, bad stuff's going to happen, so they don't do it. Or whatever. Or you need to do this, or bad stuff's going to happen. So then they do it. You've controlled them. So whether you want to control people or not, or if you just want to suss out the people that control you and how they do it, you need to figure out what you're scared of. And you need to figure out what you want. Now, when it comes to what you want, that's really, really, really subjective. Everyone's kind of got their own thing. Everyone wants similar stuff, but, you know, people can be really different. Some things that's one man's treasure is another man's trash, whatever you say. And, yeah, but still, that's only really surface stuff. Deep inside, we all want the same thing, and I'll get to that. So, what's the thing that we all fear? Fear is easier. Most people are scared of the same stuff. Like, there's people with irrational fears and phobias and stuff, but, generally, you know, everyone's scared of heights. If you're somewhere really high up and you feel nervous, then that's right. You're nailing it with your senses. You're not irrational. But if you're scared of, you know, washing the dishes, it's like, come on. You know what I mean? It's an irrational fear. We see what you're doing. But yeah. What is everyone scared of? Now, how did I figure out what people are scared of? Like I said, I've been terrified before in my life. And the things that I faced sometimes weren't actually real. I'm serious. And I've realised that. Like ghosts and stuff. But it is real, but it's not a dead person walking around and all that shit. It's something else. It's actually scarier. But I'm not going to go into that. That's not the real scary shit. I'm someone who's been really, really, really scared before, and I'm not scared anymore. And it's made me sort of enjoy talking about things that other people are scared of. I'm like, you don't need to be scared. Trust me, I used to be you. You know what I mean? That fear is irrational. So anyway, I'll talk about anything. I'm not scared to talk about stuff. I don't get it when people are scared of certain subjects. And by doing this, I've figured out what other people are scared of. And I know what the scariest thing in the world is. I know what everyone is fucking terrified about. And it's actually pathetic when you hear it. You're not going to believe it. Everyone, I've talked about ghosts, I've talked about demons. But yeah, that isn't what scares people. The thing that the fucking showstopper every time, and you can try it out for yourself. Just bring it up in a room full of people. Just bring it up in conversation. See what happens. Everyone shits theirself. Everyone cowers. Find the bravest people you know, the most bold people you know that will talk about anything, right? Not scared to talk about anything. And just watch them fucking tremble. Watch a tremor go through the room when you dare to bring up the subject of love.
You are not alone. am here with you. Though you're far away, I am here to stay. You are not alone. I am here with you. Though we're far apart, still can smell my farts. And if I need to do a fart again, you know my smell. But if I have to do a fart, how will you ever tell? 'Cause you are not alone. I am here with you. Though you're far away, I am here to stay. You are not alone. You are not alone. I am here with you. I'm here with you. Though you're far apart, always in my heart.
So, like I said earlier, everyone's different. So some people are scared of ghosts, other people aren't. Some people are scared of heights, some people say they aren't. If they're not, then they should be. That's a different problem. But the one thing that everyone is fucking shit scared of is love. Because it's the one thing that can fucking destroy you from the inside. And no one can see it, and no one really understands when you're going through it. And yeah, everyone's terrified of that, and people will pretend that they don't really want love and stuff like that. And this is where I get onto what everyone wants. Because really what everyone wants is love. And you will pretend that you want other stuff more because you're fucking scared of love, right? Well, you're not scared of love, you fucking want love, but you're scared of what could happen if you had it and lost it, or if it all went wrong. Do you know what I mean? If it all went wrong and you felt like it was your fault, and it probably was your fault, and you got to deal with that, you don't want to deal with that, so you're going to pretend that you prefer something else. Because you're scared. You are shit scared, I know, because I know that look. Do you know what I mean? If you just try it out. If you don't think you're scared of it, and I don't know what this guy's talking about, just go and try it out with other people and see how they react. Just go and bring it up and start talking about it, and don't let them change the subject, and try and stay on it and watch what they do. Just fucking squirm in their seat. It's unbelievable. Start sweating sometimes. Pathetic. So embarrassed about what we really want. I don't get that. Some people will go as far as, well, increasingly more people I've noticed, will go as far as to say that they'll try and make out that love doesn't really exist. This is how determined people are to just evade this subject. Because it's easier just to go, yeah, it's a load of bollocks, it's a load of Hollywood movie crap, it doesn't really exist. It's like, well, just because you never felt it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, alright? And also, people just don't want to get real about the concept and about what it is and how to do it. Some people don't know how to love. And you've probably heard this before, but love is a two-way street. So, the way I see it is your capacity to love is also your capacity to hate, by the way. There's a lot of people going around at the moment trying to eradicate hatred. Like you can just sort of get rid of this emotion, right? But those same people will pass around memes saying things like, your roots, if you want your branches to reach heaven, your roots need to reach hell. It's like, yeah, but you don't actually want your roots to reach hell, do you? You want to avoid that. But guess what? Your branches won't reach to heaven. And it's like, yeah, the less you love other people, the less they will love you. And if you've never loved anyone and no one's ever loved you, and I would say that if you've never hated anyone, then you are incapable of love. So going around saying, oh, I don't have a hateful bone in my body, it's like, well, you're kind of showing yourself up there. Probably means you don't really know how to love. You don't have the capacity to love someone. So how is anyone going to love you? Guess what? They don't. And that's why you think it doesn't exist. Yeah, you just got to get over that fear and just sort of face the fact that you're going to lose it even when you have it. It's just like money or anything. You don't really have anything forever. And you don't own it, by the way. So you might be in love. You might have someone who loves you. But you don't own that person. You don't own their heart. And their heart might change. And there's not really anything you can do about that. And that's the big fear, isn't it? But your heart, you're allowed to change. You're allowed to do what you want. You just do you. Fuck the haters. They're just horrible people. It's like, maybe there's a reason they hate you. People are happy to sit there and talk about things that they love, or some sort of food that they love, or some film that they love, or a song that they love. And they kind of accidentally let out some details when they do that. It tells you a lot about them when you find out. Ask someone the things they love and ask them the things they hate. Everyone does this in conversation. It tells you about them. But like I said earlier, just in a group scenario when there's lots of people involved in a group conversation, bring up the concept of love and what it really is and what it means to you and how it feels and what you want. And like I said, just watch everyone squirm, watch everyone try and avoid the fucking conversation. And some people will sort of indulge, they will pretend to indulge in the conversation. So what they'll do is, they'll tell some story about how they loved someone once and it all went wrong. And the aim there is sort of go, yeah, and it all ended in a ditch and it was all awful. So let's change the subject. And it's like, no, don't let them do that. Just carry on. Just try and stay on it and just watch. And the more you try and stay on it, the more they will try and get off of it. On a similar note, to sort of further the experiment, in a group scenario, just bring up some, just randomly just come out with something about some shit that you hate. And you'll notice other people do this. A lot of conversations, a lot of sentences start with, I fucking hate this and I fucking hate that. Oh, don't you just hate this guy? Don't you just hate people like this? Don't you just hate that song? Don't you just hate these types of things? And everyone just can't fucking wait to jump in on that one. It's almost like they're competing. It's like, I hate it more than you. No one hates this shit as much as I do. But I'm not so eager with the love thing. It's just, it's embarrassment, it's insecurity, it's fear. And people will deceive themselves to avoid the things they're scared of. And I don't trust people that deceive themselves. If you're comfortable with deceiving yourself and deluding yourself, then what's stopping you from deceiving me? Like I said, if you don't want to love, then fine, but no one's going to love you. And I know that you want people to love you. Everyone wants to be loved, but they don't want to love because it's too scary.
Shot through my heart, and you're to blame. You give love a bad name. Shot through my heart, and it's no game. You give love a bad name, bad name.
Shit. That sounds fucking good. That sounds fucking good. So yeah, some people haven't written in because I've never given out a number or an email or anything. I'm gonna answer some of the questions that no one asked. It says here, Glen Sinister, is that your name or is it? Look, I was gonna do like this whole thing where I did sort of like a series, like episodes. And it turns out I'm completely mental. And when you try and... Well, no, I don't know if I always was or I've done this to myself. If you try and do a project on your own, you have to commit to it, just like you would with any project. But you're not interacting with anyone, and you're just going into this weird warped universe of nonsense. Do you know what I mean? But then that becomes your new project. You're like, oh, right, I didn't realise there was this world of nonsense in my head that I could explore. And then that becomes, the new project. And then you sit there pretending that you're reading out questions that no one wrote in and doing this kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? I was going to make like an audio, because I want to make a film, but as if I know how to do that, as if I can get that sorted out. But I was like, I could just make an audio sort of War of the Worlds type thing where the story could just happen. But yeah, the Spoken Turd fucking series or whatever is cutaways of all of that. I'm still making that, but this is some other shit now. Spoken Turd. You're going to see Glen Sinister one day. This isn't really it. This is just fucking brain fart. Do you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, get ready.
Come into these arms again and lay your body down. Rhythm of this trembling heart is beating like a drum. It beats for you. It bleeds for you. It knows not how it sounds. For it is the drum of drums. It is the song of songs. Love, 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 love. Still comes the rain, yeah. Love, 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 love. Comes the rain.
It's all pretty hopeless, really, isn't it? Holy shit. Need to slow down. For any of you that know a lot about space, the universe, well, actually, for those of you who don't know, I should really address you, really. As far as scientists know, as far as they're concerned, This is how a star is born. Ready? Space is so big that you actually can't fathom it, alright? It's not really... Your brain... It's kind of unnecessary for your brain to really be able to comprehend that amount of fucking space. Because your entire world is this tiny little rock that we live on. And you just sort of don't need... For survival purposes, you don't need to be able to think bigger than that. But life has become so comfortable now, because of civilization, that we've got a lot of time to sort of speculate. And even back in the day, like Isaac Newton, he was fucking going for it, even back then, right? Looking at the big picture, right? But the picture's so big you can't fucking see it. It's like a flea trying to look at a giant billboard. It can only see like one little tiny speck of it. You can't get your head around that shit. So you're going to have to try. And bear with me with this. Space is so fucking big that you can just have massive vast areas of just sort of loads of crap flying around. It's not really space. It's not just nothingness. There's loads of crap like rocks and giant fucking clouds of gas. And when I say giant, I mean giant. Like, we look at Mount Everest and we're just like, whoa. And it's like, that's a tiny little lump on a tiny little ball. That's nothing, alright? So there's giant sort of clusters of crap in space. And the way gravity works is everything always goes to the centre of whatever it is. Little things stick to big things and all this. And eventually this crap in space will sort of... like a tornado will sort of start. It sort of starts whirling around and going towards the centre until all of this pressure and all of this strain and stress of the mass of this crap starts like a storm. Just like clouds do in the sky. But way bigger. And I mean way bigger. I can't stress that enough. Think of the biggest thing you can think of in the world? Well, not in the world. This is the point. Out of the world. Think of the biggest thing you can imagine and times it by 9 billion. You can't even count to 1 billion, for fuck's sake. This is what I'm saying. Sit there and try and count to 1 billion. You can't do it. You think you can. If I gave you £1 billion and you had to count it, if it was actually in pound coins, it'd be the size of Mount Everest, I swear. So imagine this big whirlwind of crap in space, if you can. Just try and imagine the biggest whirlwind of crap, right? And yeah, it basically gets to the point where it implodes on itself. And the impact of that amount of shit imploding on itself, it then goes and it explodes. And the explosion, the big bright explosion, the big hot explosion is the centre, it's the middle, it's the star, right? That's the star, and then the star is born. And a lot of that crap gets blasted out and it's all over the place, but because of the gravity of the star, that shit never goes too far away. It starts orbiting that star. And like I said, little things stick to big things. So there'll be some sort of rocks that are going around the star. And then the smaller rocks will keep smashing into the bigger rocks. And they'll just become those rocks. This is how planets are made, alright? Loads and loads of little rocks are flying around the star. And then all those rocks smash into each other and they become a bigger rock. And then when a rock gets pretty big, it's a planet, right? But there's still loads of meteors flying around. This is why back in the day with the dinosaurs, there was actually meteors hitting the planet all the time. This is why the moon is covered in craters, alright? And so's the Earth, by the way. And those craters are full of water and we call them lakes. And sometimes they're not full of water and it's just like a big fucking canyon or whatever you call it. Most of the time, hills. Why do you think we have hills? Most of the time, hills and mountains and all this shit, it's not actually bits of land sticking up. It's just big craters in the floor where fucking shit has smashed it in. So, why am I talking about this? Yeah, and eventually the star dies. And then you get a black hole. The star explodes. When you look at a star, you're basically looking at a explosion in super, super, super slow motion. So like a second to a star is like 1,000,000,000,000 years to you, because you're so small. And the gravitational force of a black hole is stronger than a star, and it just starts pulling everything into it, and it all starts again. Eventually this whirlwind of shit happens again and again and again. And they reckon that the biggest stars that burn the brightest and burn the hottest, they actually don't last as long. They die quicker. That's what they reckon. And the small ones burn longer. And when you think about it, when you think of like celebrities that have sort of hit the big time and then they die, they're like these giant stars, aren't they? That's why I call him a star. Oh, he's a superstar. He's a megastar. They sort of live fast, die young. So they do a lot in a short amount of time and then they die. Unfortunately, I think I'm a slow burner, but whatever. Well, I better not be a quick one because I haven't really done much. But yeah. Why am I talking about this? Oh yeah. So I think that this is what happens with well, your life in general. If you think about the events in your life, the big events. It's like the bus theory. So you're waiting for a bus and there's no bus, and you're still waiting for a bus and there's just no buses, and then suddenly loads of buses turn up and you don't know which one to get. That's the old theory. And in your life, there's, this is what happens. It's like nothing going on. It's just a load of crap flying around, isn't it? It's pretty non-event, no aim, just a bunch of crap flying around. And eventually the whirlwind happens, gravitational pull happens, and then, the force, the stress, oh my God, and then loads of shit happens. A big event happens. And you'll notice loads of other little events always seem to happen around a big event. So nothing's happening, and then loads of shit happens all at once, and you don't know where to go and what to do first. Now, on the subject of love, I think that this happens like in your chest, in your heart. So everyone is born with a heart, but you haven't fallen in love yet. There's just a load of crap flying around in your chest, right? And then when you first fall in love with someone, it's like, whoa. And that's when the whirlwind starts in your chest. And I'd say it's probably, depending how old you are now, what you've done in your life, if you've never kissed someone before, I reckon the first time you kiss, that's like the big explosion. You know what I mean? And yeah, and then all the crap starts flying around the star inside your chest, and then it starts forming planets, and you're forming like a little solar system. And then once you are together, you have this harmonious thing. But eventually, they might break your heart, and you will die inside. And you now have a black hole in your chest. And like I said, black holes, fuck off. What is this shit? Black holes have a stronger gravitational force than a star, and it's just negativity, and you are made of dense negativity, and you not only are you putting out negativity, you are drawing it in. It's just like, yeah, the gravitational force, you're just pulling in negative shit from everywhere, and you're going to have to keep pulling in negative shit until you've pulled everything in, and then the whirlwind starts, and then you'll fall in love again, maybe, if you're lucky. I think some people never do. They just go completely hollow. There's just a big black hole, and anyone that goes near them just sort of gets the life sucked out of them. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, unfortunately, that's where I'm at. That's where I am right now. And like I said, your capacity to love is your capacity to hate, and I am fucking full of it. There is hatred just like running through my veins. The slightest thing, I can just turn murderous, right? And I know why it is. It's because I don't have anyone to love. And I think a lot of people feel this, but I'm one of the few people that can sort of like admit it and face it. which I think is a healthy thing to do, but obviously wouldn't describe myself as healthy in a healthy state. Physically I'm healthy, but mentally, Jesus Christ. And also when you get your heart broken, it kind of deters you from wanting to love again. This is a lot what this shit happens, where people sort of pretend they don't like love. I still admit that that's what I want, even though it's horrible how I feel. And I'm kind of unashamed of how hateful I am, because I know that really it's just a sign that I have a big universe in there. At the moment it's negative, but if I can flip that switch, I know that I can love like big time. But yeah, enough about me. This is just what's going on inside me. But why is this my concern? Because I'm looking out there and I'm going, well, hang on a minute. Let's say I pull myself together and everything goes okay in my chest. But I'm looking at everyone else and I'm like, yeah, I don't think other people, like, who am I going to fall in love with? I don't think anyone is really. I'm not seeing a lot of people that are actually mature enough to deal with this shit. They just run away from it, don't they? I've heard people say things that I can't believe, and I've actually had experiences myself with people that I've been in relationships with, where it gets to a certain point, it gets to a certain level where they're all for it, and it gets to a certain level and they get scared. Because they want to be in control of their self, as we all do. But when the swelling gets too big and when the feelings get too feely, they feel at the mercy of love. But then they just turn on me. This is what people do. They will turn on the person they're in love with because they see it as a threat. It's like, oh my God, I'm not in control. And they take it out on the person. Whereas really it's the thing that's going on in their chest that makes them feel scared. You know what I mean? Who am I talking to? So yeah, this isn't like a cry for help. I'm not saying, is there anyone out there who's going to love me? I'm not doing that. I'm saying, have you ever had what you want? And if you haven't, whose fault was it really? And are you going to grow up anytime soon? Or are you just going to go around sort of like bitching about how love sucks and love stinks? And it's all Hollywood bullshit and it's not real. Because I say, you're not real. That's why I say, if you're coming out with that crap. It's pretty much like the main thing we're on this earth to do is to sort of like, it's the best feeling you can have. It's the reason to be alive. And if you're not interested in that, and if you think it's bullshit, then it's like, what are you even doing? What are you even here for? You're a waste. You're a waste of a heart. You're a waste of a universe that could exist. You just want to be crap flying around, don't you? It's easier. Not impressive. Oh, by the way, I'm someone who's been told all my life that I'm immature and I need to grow up. And it's like, yeah, well, I finally did. And now I'm fucking waiting for everyone else to catch up and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. People my age are supposed to be adults. Even people that are older than me, I look at them and I'm like, you are just not willing to deal with anything, are you? It's all just Netflix and chill and all this crap. But yeah, anyway. This is why I just focus on music. Music is a relationship that you have that is actually not a two-way street. It sort of is. This is what I mean. It gives back. Whatever you put into music, you get back. And music is always there for you. It will never turn its back on you. And on top of that, even if you turn your back on it for fucking ages, as long as you like, turn your back on music for 10 years, 20 years. As long as you like, And you go back to it, it won't be angry with you. It won't be like, where have you been? Why didn't you text me back? It would just still be there, being music and being awesome. So yeah, I just focus on that shit, but sometimes even that gets me down. Sometimes I just, like I said earlier, I just go into this warped world of nonsense because it isn't the real thing. It's not. I love music, but it's not a person. It's not the real thing. But yeah, I work on all these projects. I got fucking projects up my arsehole. I've got projects coming out my ear rolls that no one's ever heard and never going to hear but at this rate. But it's just because I love it. And I just want to do something. Too many people sitting around whinging and complaining about how nothing's good enough, but they don't do anything themselves. But yeah, one of these days you're going to be fucking experiencing the shit that goes on in my world. I'm going to put it in your world and you're going to experience it. And I don't care if you think you're fucking hard or if you think you've got something better to do or, you know what I mean, if you don't need to know about my vision and my passion. It's like, no, I'm gonna put something in your world that's gonna move you. Realness is not a crime. See, I've had this black hole in my chest now for too long. For too long! And, yeah, the amount of crap that's flying around, you wouldn't believe. Like I said, your brain can't fucking fathom it, right? And one day it's going to be realized. And it's going to inspire you. Well, it might not. I don't know if I actually care about... well, I want to inspire people, but, you know, you can just put it out there and people are going to notice it or they won't. But yeah, seriously, if there's one message I can just send to people, if I leave like a message in a bottle on this earth, is just like, if you hold back because you're scared, you, like I said, you've wasted your heart. And by the way, quick note, people seem to, I've noticed something people do is they can't change the fact that they've got a heart, and they can't change the fact that they want to love and that. So they pretend that love doesn't exist and they don't want love and all this shit. And what they do is they sort of shift their love beam, their aim onto animals. People are just so in love with fucking animals, aren't they? It's all about animals all the time. People love animals. And I always see that as a compensation. It's just because you can't love a human. And I believe it's because humans can talk. You can't have an argument with a fucking animal. You can't have a big fallout over nothing with it. You know when you have a big giant argument about nothing with your loved one, and it's just like, what is this? That never happens with animals. And it's like, yeah, animals don't love you, okay? It's like vegans go on about pigs all the time. It's like, did you never see the film Snatch? Do you remember Bricktop? Yeah, what does he do with dead bodies? He feeds them to the pigs. Friends not food. Friends not food. It's like, yeah, your friend will fucking eat you. Alright? So anyway, if you're this big animal lover because you're trying to show what a big heart you've got, you're just a fucking phony. Alright? Find someone that you love, even if you think they don't love you, and try and love them and just see what happens. Just try. Don't be a fucking pussy.
Every night in my dream, I see you, and I feel you. It is how I know you. Go Once more, you've opened the door, yet I know that my heart will go on.
Fuck you.